So, ladies and gentlemen in the house, my name is Patricia Kathurima. I am a strong advocate and a champion for preventative counseling measures rather than remedial counseling measures when it comes to personal wellness and development. I have a space that I attend to these issues in relation to soft skill enhancement, personal wellness and development, professional growth, social and emotional learning. So as I take this subject matter, is a subject matter I have attacked and a subject matter that I don't intend to settle until, because I'm concerned about we as individuals, I'm concerned about the family unit, I'm concerned about the community and society at large. The pace at which we are, where currently we are, there is need for all of us to be concerned so that we ask ourselves, what is the future of family? What is the future of the community and society at large? So every community, every society begins with an individual, even every family. That is why this day we want to look at our mental wellness and how we can safeguard it, how we can enhance ourselves. So that is Patricia, and you can find me on some space called Level Up Space. Level Up with Patricia on Instagram, Level Up with Patricia on Facebook, and on YouTube also. I do team up with Data Clip on a number of issues here and there, because the space I am in is a issue-based space and we do work together on different subjects. So karibuni sana. Now there we are, let us get into the business of the day, understanding mental wellness and the reason why it is important. May was the month of creating mental awareness. However, it is not the end of it. That is just a month that is set aside internationally, globally, to create awareness that mental wellness is equally an area that we need to consider as we pursue other wellness of who we are as human beings. And 13th to 19th of the month of June, just before we got to Father's Day last Sunday, was International Men's Health Week. I hope we were able to understand that. And so, why is mental health becoming a daily concern for all of us? Why are we drumming the support? Why am I advocating for mental health as Patricia at Level Up Space? It is because it has become a necessity. We are suffering as individuals. We are suffering because of this type of the lifestyle we have chosen to take, and it is taking a toll on us. You can see how young people, the youth, will simply be driven crazy by feeling insufficient, by feeling inadequate because of what they are seeing on social media, and they feel other people are doing better than them. In an attempt to improve ourselves, because we have realized there is no health without mental health, then that is another reason why we are continuously every day pursuing to understand and appreciate mental health. So those two are key reasons why, as a matter of necessity, because we are already in the bottomless pit of confusion, suffering, and struggle, and in an attempt to restore, to seek restoration and reconciliation in ourselves. Without your mental wellness or mental health, then you're not complete in terms of your personal wellness. And it is good we keep on talking about mental wellness. And the fact that somebody is not mentally well does not mean they have to be. They are human beings outside, but deep down, they are sick. So mental illness is not something we need to be ashamed to talk about. If you have been a subject of it, or you know somebody, a family member who is suffering some mental challenges, it is becoming a necessity. It is healthy to talk about it. Those who talk about it is a sign of strength, a sign of courage. It is bravery. and it will save lives. We will stop sweeping the mental illness concerns under the bed. We step out and talk about it openly. Do we remember what has been there the last 2 years, 2020, 2021? When the pandemic struck us, from young children to students to parents, entrepreneurs to leaders, we were all plunged into a situation of hatujui ni nini inaendelea. But the first 2-3 months, we may have taken it easy because we thought it was something that was to come and go. But by the time we were hitting the 6th month, the 8th month to 1 year, and we started having a feel of the effect, the impact it is having on our personal wellness and our financial wellness, it started taking a toll on us. And there was an increase of mental disability in individuals. If we also look at the current situation and more precisely the back-to-back academic year that we are having right now, it is taking a toll on the students, the children. It is taking a toll on parents, because before you're done with looking for school fees, ukimaliza kulipa school fees ya the previous term, wamefunga sijui siku 10, you're expected to be paying some more school fees. Like now, next week, they'll be closing on Wednesday. In 10 days, by 12th of July, you're expected to be paying another school fees. It is also taking a toll on teachers, because teachers are not only professionals, they are also family people. They also have their personal lives. And the fact that they have to work back to make sure we resume to our traditional academic year, it is going to take a toll. What am I saying? These are people who need to be looked into. For the parents who are on forum, for Auntie Janet, Uncle Frederick, how are your nieces and nephews? You need to look to them and see how they are coping. These parents are our brothers and sisters. These teachers are our brothers and sisters. Are we able to extend the empathy muscle, to be patient with one another, to be accommodative of each other's humanness, so that we listen to one another, we see how we can step in to relieve each other and to compress each other the pressure that would ultimately pressure one into some mental sickness. Another thing I would want us to look is the silent killer, the technology. Kila saa tu unapekua simu yako. Kama uko Facebook, uko Twitter. Kama uko Twitter, mwenzangu uko kwenye Instagram. Kama uko kwenye Instagram, uko na mishemshe zako TikTok. And we don't see how it eats into us, because we have taken the books and buried them. I wish we are able to interpret. Mtu anacheza pale PlayStation, watoto wako kwenye simu, wameweka earphones, and you can see how the technology has teamed up to bury the books. You know, every time look at that picture. To what extent, Dashon and Frederick, is your phone eating into you? Imekita mizizi mpaka wapi simu yako mkononi? Anti ukienda choo mpaka ukue nayo. Umemaliza shule ya chooni lakini bado uko pale, because bado unaperusa, you're perusing. You know, you can even have food cooking and it burn because of the distraction that comes with it. Okay, and these are things that will take a toll on us, because within no time you find yourself, you lose track of time management. You start procrastinating because there is work you postponed every now and then, and you're not able to finish it. And when you start thinking about it because of the deadline, you start getting stressed up, you getting into depression, you're in trouble with your supervisor at work, you're not liking yourself anymore. Slowly, you drift into stress and depression, which are some of the mental sicknesses. Look at how the social media has crucified us. Without knowing, silently, we are slaves of these networks. Sometimes how they drive us into mental illness is when we think people are flourishing, people are doing better than us because of the ability of social media to present people for who they are not, you know? So these are some of the things I would want. And one's household experiences. Tumeamua, instead of us coming and teaming us together as legal partners or as a wife and a husband, or a boyfriend and a girlfriend, we are in it for the wrong reasons. And when it is time to exit, unatoka na moyo wa mwenzako ni kama ambaye hauna imani na amani na yeye. These things are taking a toll. Some people have no emotional capacity to, to take any kind of conflict, especially when they have an intimate relationship with somebody. And beyond what you're seeing there, the advanced household experiences will make children go into a total mental disorder because they feel their safety, their life is at threat. When mommy and daddy are fighting, when they're screaming at each other, where are we? Manake vifaru viwili vinapigana, nani atakayemini? Nyasi wale watoto. What fear does it bring? So advanced household experiences are also another source of mental illness in people. Why? Because it leaves some people emotionally neglected. And slowly they grow into loneliness. And slowly they start doubting themselves. And slowly they start feeling that they are not enough without the other party. So we need to be careful and how to handle it. As human beings, we lack empathy. Are you able to see yourself with the eyes of another, of another? Are you able to listen to your brother, your sister, your colleague, your children without dismissing them and feeling that they are too much? This is what is even lacking with most of the parents. A child comes to you and you don't empathize with their situation. A colleague comes to you, they have lost a job. You're like, kwani ni yeye wa kwanza kupoteza kazi eti anasononeka kiasi kwamba anakufa? Some comments we throw around. Do we as human beings, are we able to appreciate one another, to extend the muscle of empathy, not only to our blood brother and sister, your neighbor, your sisters, your brothers, children, your colleagues at work? Are you empathetic? If we were empathetic with one another, the world would be a nice place to stay because we would extend some grace. If we were empathetic with one another, we would be patient with one another. We would accord each other some grace of patience, some grace of kindness, some grace of love. And that would make the world a beautiful, a peaceful place to stay where we complement one another without competing with one another. If we were empathetic, then people who are suffering something, some challenge, they would feel they have a safe space to come and confine. We would be confident to one another and people would not drift, because what makes most people face challenges, because facing challenges one another is one thing. It doesn't mean you're stressed, because there are people who face challenges, but because of the social support they are able to recruit or that they voluntarily receive, they are able to survive and build resilience back to who they are. But because a majority of us, human nature is that it is everyone for themselves and God for us all. People have lacked a safe space. People have missed out on whom they can recruit as a confidant because there is no empathy in us as human beings anymore. We are all after chasing something for ourselves. So that's another thing that can drift a person into mental illness. And for that reason, then, a majority of us are alive outside, but dead inside. Do we agree? A majority of us are a walking corpse because people who are mentally sick tend to present two sides of themselves. They have the real themselves when they're in their privacy of their privacy, where they are not afraid of being seen by the public or by people as they cry and wail and, they break down. But when they step out in public, they present this all-rounded person who has all their, they have put together and they are doing very well. But the truth of it all, by the time somebody contemplates going to commit suicide, they didn't start. The time somebody goes and commits suicide today, wakati mtoto anaenda anachukua bunduki ya baba yake anafiatua, hakuifikiria leo. When a man decides to kill his children and his wife and kill himself, he didn't think about it at that particular moment. There is something that has been going through him. There's something that has been going through a woman by the time she feels that she can go and put up a team and pay money to come and kill the husband. So a majority of us you see walking out here, we are presenting a brave part outside, but deep within we are dead. So don't ignore your brother. Don't ignore your sister. Don't ignore what you see your neighbor going through. You're in your estate and you notice a child who is always seated somewhere, quiet and calm, and you assume what a lovely child to have, what a calm and composed child. The nature of children is to recruit friendship with their fellow children in the estate and play around. Leo jasho na namuona Frederick alikuwa anakunywa chupa moja for the road ya kutoa jasho na kujipatia asante. Kidogo Frederick anajikakamua na kreti mzima, anatajirisha KBL. Jashon has to be worried what is happening. Because now this guy is drifting into abuse, substance abuse. There must be something wrong. Mpaka amwite, hey bro, can we have a talk? You know? When you see Jashon today, you know, Frederick knows very well, Jashon has a wife and he's a family man. But nimemwona na warembo wawili watatu lately. Akikuja training Mombasa, nimemwona na warembo watatu, unasema, ni kawaida ya wanaume, kawaida ya African man to be polygamous. Some of our ladies and men you see engaging in promiscuity. It is an escape route. They are suffering mentally. Don't ignore when you see such signs. You see somebody eating, and you think, huyu na yeye hana kazi nyingine ama ni pesa ako nayo. No, somebody sleeping, oversleeping, or alali usiku anaamka usiku usingizi unamwishia. Don't ignore that. You know, somebody who is irritable, somebody who cannot take a simple question. They seem like they were waiting for somebody to touch them and they explode. And probably that was not their nature. It is important we take note of some of the signs, indicators of somebody who is suffering and who needs our intervention. That is what we need to do. A majority of who, as I said there, that a majority are alive from outside, but dead from inside. From children, our teenagers, our youth, our men, our women, the unpaired. That is not the unprepared. It is a type of error. It's supposed to be the unpaired, the unprepared, sorry. That means the seniors, aka retirees. People who are suffering terminal illnesses, caregivers. And there's one subject here I have left by the name of single people. Wakati unaona rafiki yako unamwambia there is a job opportunity mahali, hata we kama unajua kuna mrembo mahali pia yako peke yake, mwambie pia kuna opportunity mwende, because kuna kasumba ambaye inafuata watu ambao wanaishi peke yao. And unfortunately, women are more, if Janet today clocks 35 and she's not married, the kind of talk and the kind of laboring she may receive from her family, her aunties who are fed up to see her coming for Easter alone, for Christmas alone. And the kind of talk that will come from her friends who are already married and having children at workplace, she's going to suffer. And trust me, if Janet is single and Frederick is single, for instance, Janet is going to receive more beating, social beating, than Frederick. And that can push women into mental sickness. Another thing about women and mental sickness, menstruating every month is not funny, it is not interesting. We suffer hormonal imbalance, we get irritable, we get irritated, we can be rattled easily because of hormonal imbalance. Another issue with women and mental health is when it comes to premenopausal and menopausal phases in life. Some people will not understand. And I hope one of these days, having seen the bill has been signed into law on mental health issues, thank you to the Senator lady, I hope we are going to have women being relieved some leave during their menopausal time. Janet may not understand, but trust me, you need to start understanding that. Because the hot flashes, now your husband will not understand. Sasa unatakaje? You are cold, you are hot, you are irritable, you want to sleep, you are out of energy. Are you sick? No. And sometimes it can take a while for doctors to even confirm that it is menopause. And that can bring a drift in the house because the mother is no longer able to align with the children. They are finding their mother like now, she's too much. Nobody seems to understand. The mood swings are too much. And how also she feels people are not understanding her. Now, everybody is in a state of confusion. That is women. Men are suffering mental illness for a number of reasons. the financial responsibility, because they're expected to protect, to provide for their families. If a man doesn't have a job, is not able to provide, it can be terrible. Men also suffer when women have the children, when it is your first baby. Frederick, kuamka asubuhi unaambiwa nina hata wewe koroga maziwa hapo kidogo, so that at least she's resting while she gets some rest when she's in bed to breastfeed the child, the so-called postnatal syndrome. That can be very tough, can take a toll on a man. If, for example, a man is suffering erectile dysfunction, that can take a toll on a man if the woman is not patient, if a woman is not accommodative and understanding, and probably she's engaging a speech that is likely to suggest that she can take a leave and leave the guy out of and go and find rest or comfort somewhere else. Another thing, hii kitu ambayo munaita polygamy. A number of men are practicing promiscuity in the name of polygamy. And before they know it, they have 2-3 baby mamas. So every day you are waking up, going to work, but you know your salary is so done. The only thing you remain with is transport. Ama unaomba mwenza. How will you not get into mental illness? Because you start it like a joke. Oh, this one anisikii vizuri, let me get another one. And the African culture allows you, na marafiki zako wanakuchocha hapo. Kama akusikii, my friend, chukua mwingine. Then you get a second one. You go to a second one, she has what the first one didn't have, but there's something she doesn't have the first one hand. And you decide, because you can't go to the first one, ongezea mwingine wa kuleta hiyo kitu ingine unatafuta. Before you know it, you have 3. Then somehow, you fall apart. There you are, 3 women, 3 or each has 2 kids, or each one, 3 of them. You wake up every morning going to work for women. Are you going to remain the same, Frederick? Are you really going to be at peace with yourself, knowing you're working for some people? Our youth, we need to look at them. And the majority of them are overrating themselves. They are overrating themselves. And they fail to be patient, to be teachable, to seek mentorship and coaching and training in life. And so they leave university with a lot of expectation. And they come to the job market, they come to the real world, and they realize it is not what they thought it is. Some of them will come and they're able to survive because they're still young and they feel young and they feel they have time. Then age starts to catch up with them when somebody try now to feel, oh, I'm already at 30. I have 5 years to get off the bracket of being a youth. And now they start running to catch up with life. They need to be very careful. They are good when it comes to being under influence of their friends. And because they are youthful and they feel, you call it YOLO, you only live once. Now they can try anything and do anything. They have an attitude. They are blessed with an attitude of don't care. And they feel you only live once, so you still have life ahead. That with time, when it comes falling apart, when their life comes falling apart and they have nowhere to go, it is very unfortunate. Tomorrow I will be having an opportunity to speak at Technical University of Mombasa to the youth in regard to that. We have seen them teaming up together. Instead of a girl and a boy having their own hostel, they come together in a setup of husband and wife. And the girl gets lost because she completely assumes the role of a wife. But the young man knows this is very transactional. He attends all his classes. He does all his classwork. And he is able to graduate. The young lady is nowhere in the graduation list because in the process of assuming the role of a wife, she got herself into the family way and things have to stop. How will she not be a subject of mental sickness? Our teen and children, especially at this time, we need not to be dismissal parents. We need to be intentional parents who are present, who listen to our children, who engage, communicate with our children, but most importantly, connect with them. We need to appreciate being a parent, once a parent, forever a parent, as I always preach it. so that we understand how do we come in. We don't need to throw our parental weight around. If we attempt to do that, they rebel and we stand to lose. So the modern parenting requires a different approach to understand our children and teens are not things to be molded. We need to allow them to unfold and we help them align and fit in the society. We need to understand them and not label them as difficult. All right. Then briefly on persons suffering terminal and chronic illnesses, cancer, diabetes, hypertension, among others. That state is not a state you'd expect somebody to remain the same. Having to take medication every day to maintain a condition someone is suffering can take a toll on an individual. The caregivers of the terminally and the terminally sick. Most people, if you are a caregiver, they will take care even when, let's say, your mother is unwell and there's your sister taking care of her at the hospital. You're more likely to call your sister and ask, how is mom doing? But you don't ask her how she's doing herself, forgetting that the personal wellness, her wellness will determine the wellness of the patient, because the patient draws energy, strength, and confidence and hope from how they see the caregiver presenting. So they have been to be physically strong. They have to look mentally and emotionally in place. So we need to take care. Those are the subject of mental illness. So when we are dealing with children, let us be very constructive when it comes to discipline, when it comes to engaging with them, so that we avoid understanding that there's a very thin line between discipline and emotional abuse of our children. Our parental power should enable us to create some balance, not an imbalance, so that we don't undermine our parent-child relationship. Let us not yell at our children, because with time, they will grow up and they will assume what they saw us doing. They are very good in recording and keeping the records. We need to teach them also, when they see how we communicate with each other as partners in the house, how we communicate with them. They will learn how to communicate with one another and how to communicate with people when they go out there. For our men, don't die with a male ego. Let us understand that mental wellness is not a preserve for children and women. As modern men, level up your mental health understanding and do away with the alpha dog mentality that is likely to drive you into mental health problems. Men don't easily talk when they are going through stuff. They have to ascertain they have a safe space. They have to ascertain that they have a confidence to open up. And today's world, it is not easy to recruit that kind of a support, where this is somebody, huyu ni msiri wangu, ni mtu ambaye ninaweza kunena naye nikaongea na yeye akanisikiza akanisaidia na kisha akaficha siri yangu. Sio kesho mmekosana, haya kila mtu yuajua. So it is good that you learn how to build social communities or recruit a friend whom you can confide in and have a word with. Because for men, it's not like women. Women, we talk, and once we talk, for sure, trust me, a problem shared is halfway solved. We leave it where there na tunaomoka tukiomokaga. Lakini nyinyi unakufa nayo kimoyo moyo pole pole. Before we know it, you are overtaking alcohol, you've gotten into other drugs, you've developed dependency, you are having problems with your employer, you are no longer looking well-kept. For men, it can be sensitive. Why? Because of the male ego. We need to look at that. But it is not lost, I am saying. There is good news, because together we can work together for mental health as family. Because as I began, I said the future of family, the future of the society, community, and society at large is in the hands of the individual wellness of each and every one of us. So I'm saying together we can work to promote mental health in each and every one of us. And mental health cannot be spoken in isolation. It is part of the other dimensions that constitute your humanness. So by the time we are talking about mental health, we must ask ourselves, where does it come from? And mental health is part of your personal wellness. It exists within your wellness. And when I talk about wellness, I'm not saying you will not experience emotional grief and sadness. You will not experience disease or illness. It doesn't mean you'll not be frustrated or disappointed. You can be well, but the fact that you have your self-awareness and you are able to regulate, to control yourself, then you are able to coexist with yourself and other people, irrespective of the challenges that you are facing. When a challenge comes your way, you don't see like it is the end of you. You are telling yourself, I can look into ways that I can maneuver, I can navigate, I can go to a friend, I can read books, I can listen to a podcast, I can probably engage in an activity that can help me decompress. I can take a step back from work and take some time to reflect, to rest, to seek restoration. So wellness is not absence of negative emotions. It is not absence of disease. It is not absence of frustration. It is the holistic interconnection of all the domains of who you are as a human being. Because as a human being, there is the physical you, there is the emotional you, there is the social being of who you are. You have a spiritual aspect, and there is the mental or the psychological you. We can't talk about mental health or mental wellness without looking at other domains of the human nature. So the physical aspects, these are all the domains. I'll not get into them, but I will look to what our day or today is after the introduction, which is the emotional wellness or emotional mental health, sorry. So when you look at all these are other dimensions of who you are. When somebody sits back and they don't mind their intellectual wellness, you don't update yourself. What is the political environment like today? Today, there are some people you will ask, which are the political flags we have? No idea. You ask somebody, what is it about Ukraine and Russia? No idea. You are asking somebody, have you heard what could be causing, what is this issue of inflation? Because the intellectually are dormant. So you need to work on all these aspects. None is superior to another. Your financial wellness. Are you able to operate on a budget so that you're not financially in debt? Because you could work on your physical well-being. You go to the gym and work out, or you work out the way you've organized yourself, some walk and physical exercises. You feed well, you sleep well, and you're looking good physically. But financially, you are ailing because you don't know how to manage your finances. That means you're failing to balance your personal wellness. You could be doing well physically, financially, you're having a good job, intellectually, you're doing well, but socially, you are such a pain in everybody's flesh. You don't know how to relate with people. You don't know how to connect with people. You fight with people left, right, and center, from family to friends to colleagues. You have nobody who can take pride and say, this is a person you can relate with well. That means you're lacking balance. So these are the domains of you as a human being. And that's why I was saying we can't talk about mental health or mental wellness without looking at the other domains of who you are. For that reason, we're saying the wellness of your other connections are dependent on your personal wellness. If you as an individual have had a balance as a person from your physical wellness, emotional, spiritual, and all others, then your family connections, your connections at workplace, your social circles connections will be well. So if you keenly take care of your personal wellness, then you will be able to have a lifestyle that does not predispose you to chronic diseases. You'll be able to be mentally stable, to be somebody who can manage stressful moments, to somebody who cannot fall into depression or mental breakdown that can see you incapacitated. You'll be very focused as a person and have a healthy nutrition that can help boost your health. Your social connections will be well, but most importantly, you as a person, you will be effective because it starts with you. You cannot pour from an empty person of who you are. Your personal effectiveness from working on your personal wellness will promote all the other aspects of who you are. So take your time to have a personal wellness plan. Once in a while, audit yourself, but you can't start with the audit. You must start somewhere. Do you know who you are in respect to the domains of wellness? Are you able to tell socially, I'm not doing very well. Physically, I've just been sitting around and I'm gaining unnecessary weight. Before you know it, you're being diagnosed with diabetes, with cholesterol, and all those kind of things. So you need to know how you as a person, in respect to all the domains I have pointed out, how are you? Then go to the next level and ask yourself, what motivates you, or what is an obstacle to achieving a balanced personal wellness? Then come up with a plan of how you're going to renew yourself, how you're going to reconcile and bring restoration to yourself. Then make it a habit that at the end of the week, I always say having short timelines are more motivating. Other than when you wait for a Monday, when you want to audit yourself. Ask yourself, throughout this week, I had a plan to work out. I had a plan to, work on my work and make sure I am not procrastinating. I had a plan to go for prayers or a Bible study. How are you balancing? At the end of the week, are you able to audit your behavior and see how supportive you are to yourself so that you promote your personal wellness towards being able to engage with other human beings? So the takeaway we should have with this session as far as personal wellness is, make sure you work towards having a balanced self-renewal. Take time to audit yourself and come up with a plan of how you want to restore your personal wellness. Then renew yourself. Choose to thrive. Don't be intimidated. Don't be scared. Don't be afraid. Let your wellness flow. And as you take your inventory of your personal wellness, ask yourself, where am I thriving? Is it spiritually? Is it mentally? Is it emotionally? Is it financially? If there are areas that you're not thriving in those domains, ask yourself, how can you improve? What short-term or long-term goals can you put in place for enhancing your personal wellness? And I challenge us today, if we really take time for a performance appraisal at work, so that your employer can see how you are performing and if really you are adding value to them or not, why wouldn't you take time to have a personal wellness audit for yourself? Appraise yourself in respect to these domains that we have seen today, so that you're able to know where you are. And that takes us now to the focus of the day, mental wellness. So I want us to look at mental wellness as a resource and as a process. Why would I call mental health a resource, an internal resource? It helps us to think, it helps us to connect, it helps us to function, it helps us to have our feelings. It is dynamic, renewable, and positive. And therefore, you can't afford to neglect any resource. Time as a resource, you manage it because once you lose it, you cannot recover it. Money as a resource, you budget for it because you work so hard for it. You have to apportion it right. And therefore, your mental health is equally an internal resource that you need to use because it supports you to function well as a person and to function well with other people. It helps you to think, to feel, to connect, and to function. Why I call it a process is because if you take care of it, understanding that it changes and it is renewable, then it helps you build back your resilience. It helps you to grow. It helps you to flourish. So you cannot abandon an opportunity to work on your personal, on your mental health. You must be very proactive in the way you safeguard your soberness. That is why you will hear people saying, we have been throwing our weight around, hey, that guy is a narcissist. And women, we are very good at throwing that word around for the ladies in the house. From a psychology point of view, it is associated with men. But equally, if a man has a narcissist for a woman, Frederick, you will die. Because for a woman, it is easy to spot the characteristics and know you are dealing with a manipulator, you're dealing with a controller, you're dealing with somebody who is very mean, with an attitude of entitlement, with an attitude of importance, who has put a tag of some importance on themselves. But for men, before they discover they have a narcissist, for a woman, it can take a while, because she will come and present to you as this trophy, and she will make sure she marinates you, or she grooms you, so to speak, in a way to position herself that she has come, she's this queen who has come to enhance your life. She has come to make you, and you start feeling good walking with her, introducing her to your friends, introducing her to your family, and she positions herself like this trophy. Now, when all that she's doing quietly and peacefully, but she's waiting for the day when she starts asking you to pay for whom she has been in your life. Narcissists are very patient, may they be men or women, and it is a mental disorder. Some know it, some don't know it, some know it, they seek help, and others do nothing about it. They are very manipulative. Some of the strategies or other tactics they use is where they gaslight you. They use what we call stonewalling and love bombs. I hope we would have had more time to discuss this. Narcissists for a partner can drive you crazy. Love bombing is when somebody ghosts you, for example, they are present, then the next minute they go missing. Kama sasa nasikia kuna castration kanaivasha. Mtu anakupotelea hapo, anakupotelea, halafu anakuja Monday, na amekuja na zawadi na maua na chocolate, anakuonyesha mapenzi ambayo inaweza kuwa mtoto wa mtu. That is love bombing. Stonewalling used by narcissists is where somebody keeps quiet and leaves you in this space. You're guessing, what are they doing? What are they up to? You talk to them, they don't want to respond. You have plans, they are upcoming very fast. They don't seem to be taking action. They take pride and joy in seeing you struggling because they are keeping quiet. That is what feeds into their narcissistic ego. That is the nature of a narcissist, so to speak briefly. So if you have one for a lover, a partner, or a girlfriend or a boyfriend, you're so cooked because they know how to marinate you for the D-Day. So there we are. Our work, our social life, our family, and ourselves can impact our well-being. As an individual, if you don't know who you are, if you lack in emotional intelligence, it will be very difficult to operate optimally. It will be very difficult for you to be satisfied, because in this life, seeking happiness may be an illusion, all right? Because you could be celebrating success today in the morning. In the evening, there's something else that has brought you down. Unasema kwani shetani alikuwa amekaa mahali anangoja kuona nikifurahia ndio afanye kitu. So in life, it is good to pursue satisfaction and peace. And so when you are in that state where you have self-awareness and self-regulation as elements of emotional intelligence, you are in a position not to sabotage yourself. You know very well, even when things are going wrong, it doesn't mean that you step out, upige sherehe, you do what you want to do. You can sit back and be calm and patient, knowing it is a storm that will pass. You don't get anxious and you start going left, right, and center, talking to people, telling them your problems, and they're the same people who will make things worse for you. You know, you are in a clear understanding that time brings clarity. So self-sabotage is one of the aspects that impact our well-being. As an individual, you can impact your well-being. You can either sabotage it or you can continue to enhance yourself from one level of good performance and satisfaction to another. Family is another aspect of life that can impact our well-being. We don't like talking about family because we feel like if people hear me talking about my family, they will not trust me, they'll think I am a very bad person. But as a parent, I would speak confidently on that. You can see a situation where you are a firstborn as a son, and you have your two sisters and a brother somewhere, and maybe they are economically stable, and you have to sacrifice for them to be where they are. You go home and your mother and father overlooks you because then they are bringing money home. Probably you're even walking home or taking a public means, and then they are driving. So mama is preparing some farm produce and she packages for them better than you. How will that go down on that person? How will they mentally perform? You know, family members where some people are more preferred or more loved or more acknowledged than other people. Kuna wengine kwa familia inakaa ni kama them they can bear pain. Other people have to be massaged. And so sometimes their value is compromised at the expense of the other. We need to be careful with family. We can equally have toxic people within the family unit, either as the nuclear or as the extended family. Our social lives, if we lack a balance, where we are more into enjoying life more with friends, more out there, and we don't balance our time with our work, our family, tunajisahau. Then when it is time in life where you abandoned your family, emotionally neglected them, either as a woman, as a man, you're trying to come back and you realize people already made a life for themselves. We can be very extreme. We need to have a balanced social life so that we are not in either extreme of the continent, where you work so hard, you soak yourself into work and you forget your friends. Even when you get married, it doesn't mean you do away with your friends. There's a way they intervene and they come into your life differently than your partner. What is called for us is to balance the same, to see how we strike a balance. Your work, when you feel to appreciate the work-life balance concept and you start having burnout, then you're in hospital. You are lucky if your employer has given you a medical cover. And sometimes that medical cover can be very deceiving because any load you put on your body physically or mentally, it may escalate and it may linger on longer. You have left employment, retired or resigned, and the impact of lack of work-life balance haunts you, and now there is not that money. You will suffer because what you had saved with from that employer, you will take it back to hospital. So these are 4 areas we need to strike a balance, because there's a saying in my language where we say, that old age feeds on your youthful years. So how you will live in your old age will be determined by how you are living right now. As a person, as a family member, as a social being interacting with other people, and as a person who is working as self-employed or employed, strike a balance such that you don't compromise your personal wellness and most importantly, your mental wellness. So it's good you ask yourself, how do these aspects of my life impact on my well-being as a person? That should be food for thought. Be honest with yourself with that question tonight. Always ask yourself at the end of the week as you audit your domain's performance and how you're balancing, ask yourself how these aspects are impacting on your well-being. I will not repeat that. So how do we boost our mental wellness for a healthy you as a person. How about getting plenty of rest? Kuna watu nimeona siku hizi wanataka kustress wenzao ati sleep is for the weekend. Sleep, my friend, get your 7-8 hours of rest. You'll be more alert, you'll be less prone to stress, and it will improve your memory. Stay active. Exercising does not necessarily mean you subscribe to an expensive gym. Even your own small workout of taking just strolls in the evening or in the morning. You know, if you can skip, you skip. Make good use of what is available for you. Your kitchen counter, your sitting room, you can push your coffee table and do some exercises there. Every slight move makes a difference. So you'll be able to decompress any stressful moment that could plunge you into a state of depression. Stay active and do it in moderation. And of course, when I talk about being active, exercising, you must consider your state of health. You must consider your stage of life. I can't go exercising like Janet right now. I have to do it in moderation. If I didn't do it when I am young, I have myself to blame. So if I go to the gym, for example, and I meet Janet with her other girls exercising, and at my age, I want to exercise like them, so sad. Eat a healthy diet. How does it come into your mental wellness? You're eating a balanced and a healthy diet. Memory issues, loss of memory, all right? Diet can take a toll on your mental health because if you don't understand where, like if I give an example with me, I have gluten intolerance, I have lactose intolerance. Those are found in dairy products and in anything that has gluten like bread, mandazi, and the like. If I hit them, I get some inflammation and it throws me off balance. And I'm not stable, I'm not well, I'm not at peace, I'm stressed out. That means my productivity is compromised. My relationship, because I'm not at peace, I'm not comfortable, I'm bloated and all that kind of thing, it brings headache. So healthy diet is very important. Learn to interact with other people. You can't stay in isolation as a human being. You know, talk with people, interact with people, you know, learn from other people, break that moment of being alone that can make you feel like you're lonely and your mind start racing and all that. So learning how to be with people, to work with people and relate with people. You can pick a new skill or a hobby. You can choose to learn how to cook a new dish, learn how to play a music instrument. It will keep your mind, your brain active and healthy. Getting a mental workout. Jason and Frederick, they are very good at that. Kuna kale kakitu wa mnapatia watu, you know, that block where people keep on chasing. To date, I play snakes and ladders. Learning how to manage your stress is another way. I love listening to music. I love small gardening, hata kama mjini hakuna nafasi ya kulima. Using the pots and taking care of the plants, the flowers, taking a nature walk, you know, dancing to some music. That can be very helpful to decompress. Avoid substance abuse and dependency. Alcohol is highly abused, but people don't want to talk or admit it. Cigarette and other hand drugs, they will never be a solution to your problems. In the morning, the problems will still be there and your financial wellness will be compromised. Laughter, laughter, laughter is the best medicine anybody can have. Pitia status za watu kidogo tu, hata kama tumesema simu tupunguze. Pitia status ya watu, cheka kidogo nini watu wanasema. Ingia mtandaoni kidogo, soma vitu. Mnaziita memes ama zinaitwa nini? They are very good. And as we come to an end of it, I wouldn't fail to talk about mental wellness at workplace. And at that point, you allow me to say, it will be wrong for us to talk about mental wellness at workplace alone. Employers are good at facilitating and promoting mental wellness at workplace. They will create a company culture that protects, that promotes employees' mental wellness, like making sure work-life balance is being achieved to avoid burnout, all right? And in that attempt, what are they doing?
They don't want their employees to keep on going because it's an expensive affair to keep advertising for jobs and doing the recruitment process. It's very expensive. They don't want their employees absent because they are going to visit a counseling psychologist, a clinical psychologist, or a psychiatrist. It is easier to recruit new talent when people know you as an employer, you mind about people's wellness. Simon Sinek says that if you don't know people, you don't know business. Knowing that people are the backbone, your workforce is a backbone for your business sustainability. But what I am saying is that we need to extend this mental wellness beyond the workplace. We need to start discussing mental wellness in the marriage union. We need to start talking about mental wellness in the family, mental wellness as a person, mental wellness and the impact it has to unpartnered people, those are single people. So we need to look at not mental wellness from workplace. When you assess, are you mentally well? What is the extent, or to what extent is your partner, your legal partner, your wife, your husband? What is their role in your mental wellness or mental illness? To your children as a man, to your children as a wife, could you be a source of them getting tormented, being stressed, having panic and anxiety? Etu watoto wakisikia mama anakuja, everybody scatters. As an employer, when people check the parking and they are like, hey, mnyapara ameingia, kila mtu kwa desk yake kimya. As a man in the house, have you tormented people and you don't know your family is actually running away from you? When you're in the sitting room, you sit watching TV alone and you're not us, and you think people respect you, ndio umeachiwa remote na uko kwa sitting room peke yako. You traumatized people until they prefer to be away. So when you're there, they leave you the entire space. So mental wellness conversation must not only be at the workplace. We need to take it in to have the conversation at the marriage institution, at the family level, with your friends and colleagues. Ask yourself, how are these relationships impacting on my mental wellness? And so the enemy is stigma. The enemy is stigma. And I said there is no shame of being or having been a subject of mental health condition. And stigma is because of prejudice and discrimination. Somebody who is mentally unwell does not mean that they cannot relate with you as a human being. They could be unwell, but they know very well they are unwell. People who have bipolar. Our dear Madam Shebesh admitted that she has bipolar. It is a mental disorder, but does that incapacitate her? She's pretty aware, she's knowledgeable of her condition, she knows how to manage it, she knows how to navigate, and she's able to take her medication to stabilize the chemicals in her brain, and she's able to be fine. People who suffer post-trauma syndrome disorder, because that is a disorder because there's trauma you've gone through, maybe you've been raped or you've gone through physical domestic abuse, and you identify probably certain days of the week that used to happen, or as a woman or a man who has been molested or raped, every time you pass by that place, you get goosebumps, pimples. So people suffer post-trauma syndrome disorder. People suffer panic and anxiety disorder. People suffer stress. People suffer depression. Those are some of the mental illness we are looking at. So what we need to stop is to avoid stigmatizing people. And knowing that having been subject to mental health condition does not mean you cannot relate with people. You cannot be a person who is seen as normal, even those who are sick. So to stop mental health stigma, we need to create an enabling environment and be a trustable social support. That is my take. Let us stop stigmatizing people by creating an enabling environment. When somebody comes to confine in you, or you hear somebody suffers something, don't be in a hurry to label them or to call them names or to make them feel like they are seeking attention. And that takes me to my next quote there that I have said: those with depression, those suffering anxiety, those who have suicidal thoughts, they are not weak, they are not lazy, they are not dramatic, and they are not seeking attention. They are fighting painful symptoms. They are simply hypersensitive to their environment. The suicidal ones are crying out to stay alive. Stretch your empathy muscle, embrace them, don't tear them further with mockery, judgment, and criticism. Let us be kind. Jason, I know you are a father. I know you're a beautiful girl. Tomorrow she's going to be a grown-up woman out here in the market working. How would you want the society to be cognizant that in case she fell a victim or she became mentally disturbed, what would you expect people to do? That is what you have to preach. That is what I have to preach. That is what Friendly has to preach, and all of us, so that we make it possible. We enable it at our workplace. When we see somebody not well, can we be patient with them? Can we highlight probably to one of their friends, somebody we see them together, or the human resource department, that I think something is not right here. Somebody needs to follow up. The workplace right now needs to start. The police force, I know they have put up counseling psychologists on board to help their people because of the cases that we have been having. So we need to be very sensitive. So what I'm saying is that nobody can fake mental illness. The only thing they fake is being okay, because they don't want to let anyone down or worse, be a burden. A mother who is not well, a mother who is disturbed because of abuse she has gone through, a father who is disturbed because they have lost their job, they have to come home, they are not going to work, they know very well at the end of the month, their bills are waiting, school fees, feeding the children, and other bills. And they start getting stressed up and they have nobody to turn to. Everywhere they go, hiyo miaka yote alikuwa anafanya kazi, kwani alikuwa safe. We all know some of the salaries we have, it's hand to mouth. There is nothing. So nobody can fake being mentally sick. They can only fake being okay because they don't want to be a bother to anybody. So let us be kind. All what we need is to be knowledgeable of what is mental sickness, what are the symptoms, and what are some of the ways of managing or helping somebody build their mental wellness resilience. We need some interpersonal skills, because when you're relating with a person who is mentally sick, you need to know how to interrogate without making them feel like you are interfering into their private space. You need to have some empathy as a human being. So being knowledgeable, having some interpersonal skills, and being empathetic is the solution to expelling stigma. We should not leave it to be a responsibility of medics or social workers or the psychologists and the like. As Patricia, I need to be knowledgeable so that I am able to pick when my child is starting to exhibit some that they are mentally disturbed. A teacher should be able to have this knowledge and have some interpersonal skills to help them interrogate a situation that a student is suffering. As a colleague, it is not every time we have money to go and pay for counseling or for consultancy services with a clinical psychologist. Seeing a psychiatrist is not cheap business for a family. So if as individuals, we would appreciate to seek those knowledge, enhance our interpersonal skills, and be empathetic, then we will be able to solve this issue in a very manageable way. So the resilient factors is building social support communities, is coming up with telehealth services, and our social workers and healthcare providers to be funded and to be trained more. And I hope the new law, the bill that has passed to law, will be able to secure a budget for these kind of resilience factors I'm having here. Can we socially, in our social circles, with our girlfriends and our boyfriends, as Janet with her young girls go for their meetings and go for coffee and movie? Are they able to build this safe space for one another? They can support one another. As Jason and Friendly and Peter and Kenneth go out there in a boys' club and they are able to sit together to have a discussion on how they can financially invest, can you also come in ways that you can support each other, be each other's social support? So always seek intervention, seek for help, encourage yourself, encourage other people to seek intervention. You can join communities. You can take care of yourself through the various ways we have said. And allow me to say that I confidently talk about mental wellness because I have been a mental subject too. I was under a psychiatrist for a long period of time. I took the medication, and one day I had to go on the mirror and encourage myself. Of course, after I got an encouragement from one Dr. Musioka, and he said, Patricia, I have known you for a while. This medication is not for you. You need to step out, and you must have the willpower. You have my support. And I'm going to reduce this medication because if I withdraw it, you're going to have withdrawal syndromes. And so I'm going to reduce it in bits. And I don't want you seeing the psychiatrist, Dr. Mahero, again. I want you to take this medication like this. And he drew me from it. And trust me, none of my friends knew that I was mentally sick. A majority were disturbed because I would get the panic and anxiety moments and I would collapse. You know, I would be rushed to hospital every night because I'm in a panic state and my pressure is going down and I'm growing very cold. But once you accept and appreciate that you are facing a challenge, that is the step to starting the healing process. Then you start seeking ways of getting restored. You reconcile with yourself by appreciating, acknowledging, yes, I'm in this state. Then you start seeking help. What helped me is a therapy called CBT, Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, where you are able to be helped by a therapist to understand and appreciate, to be able to pinpoint what are the triggers and how you can work with them. And then slight medication in case you are overwhelmed. And then you're patient with yourself and you will get over it. So ladies and gentlemen, allow me to say thank you for that moment. It is time for questions and answers. Thank you for your patience and listening to me.
I have a question for you, Ms. Patricia.
Yes.
So you talked about recognizing that you need help. So at what point do you actually recognize on a personal level that you have the problem? Because like, for instance, when you look at physical health, if I have a sore throat, then I'll be able to say I'm sick. So most of the time, since now we have not grown up with the culture of discussing mental health, we find ourselves, maybe you're just having a bad day and you just tell yourself it's just a bad day. So at what point do you actually recognize that you need help?
Thank you, Janet, for that question. Janet is asking us, at what point do you realize that you need help? For example, as you've put it, if you start coughing today, you're not rushed to hospital. You come and try to do some home remedies like taking some warm water, you take some lemon. But if it persists beyond 3 days, you realize it, and probably you start having a productive cough, you realize now this one is not something I can manage home. Why? Because you have acknowledged and known it is beyond your intervention, and you know you need to go to hospital. Now, if you are having a social issue or a social concern, you are with your partner and you realize every time you get into a conversation to resolve an issue, it is never resolved. And you yourself, as a person, a lady or a gentleman, you're the one who has to stoop low so that for the sake of peace. Unfortunately, a majority of us don't acknowledge that we are having a problem and we need it to be solved. We want to imagine, because men get into a relationship with the woman, hoping that the woman will not change because they picked up because of something they loved. A woman gets into a relationship hoping the man will change, meaning she had already identified some red flags, but she hopes she can change the person. the point at which you discover you need help. Look at a situation where you are telling yourself, oh my, I'm not fitting in these clothes anymore. Umevaa hii skirt, kufunga kiuno ni shida. Umevaa hii top, kuingiza kwa mikono na kwa kifua ni shida. What at that point, you have two options. To tell yourself, I can just buy other clothes, or to be honest with yourself and tell yourself, I'm blowing out. And what I need to do, I need to change my lifestyle from my nutrition to my physical level of activity. That is what is going to help me. So it calls for honesty with yourself. Because even when people want to help you and you lack the self-will, there is nothing they can do. That is why you see people will push their son or their daughter to a rehabilitation, but because this person was not ready themselves and willing to seek help, they will still go back. That is why I will take my husband, ningangane na yeye nimwambie kama unataka mimi nikae kwa hii ndoa, you must demonstrate you want to work it. Twende tukaone pastor. Twende basi mama. Kwani kuna nini nikienda niketi nisikize na niambie pastor nimesikia? But if it was self-driven, they accept I'm going to lose this marriage. I'm going to lose my parents as a youth. I'm going to lose my life. At the end of the day, my parents will not suffer. I'm the one who will suffer as a youth because I've wasted the opportunities I've been given. Then somebody will know they need help. Unfortunately, the willpower of a majority of us is not there. Acknowledging that I have a problem and being ready to step out without caring what people will say is what keeps us in that state until the disorder or the problems grows into a monster. So the question is, are you willing? Do you have the self-initiative? Do you have the self-drive?
Thank you for the answer. Thank you so much for that.
Madam Patricia,
Yes.
it's usually nice. Yeah, I usually enjoy these sessions with you.
Thank you.
My question. So how does someone get quality help? First of all, in two parts, either in the workplace or personally. You know, in the workplace, at times organizations they try to equate structure and compliance with actual help, or whereby an organization has set, say, maybe an office or personnel to deal with mental health issues, but then the people within the workplace really don't feel confident in using that structure. But an organization will lay back and say that, okay, as we put this structure in place, so at least our people are sorted. But actually, you are just sellotaping a problem. You've not solved an issue. Personally, the common example is, you see, when you're talking about, I'll pick the example of the singles having an issue. But then the figures of authority that they have in their life try to chip in and say that, okay, you guys, at least when you go down this path, try to have someone at your side who will help you. But now me, I'll try to be a bit defensive and say that, okay, sasa huyo auntie ameanza kuniingilia, or my parents are now becoming too much, pushing me into a direction I don't want. So they see a problem, but they try to advise it's not getting through. And now the cycle continues. It becomes even more pressure on the person as you're talking about. So how does someone help someone who does not see the structure that is there as the kind of an authority that can address the problem that they have? Thank you.
Thank you, Frederick. Yes, organizations do set up places in an attempt to support, to enable an enabling environment so that at least it is easy and quick access for the employees to get help. But again, I ask myself, where have they set it up? Like the one I'm telling you for the police, I know it was set up in the police stations. And I was asking, how do you expect an officer to come in the morning na anaonekana na wenzake akiingia kwa hiyo ofisi, wenzake wataanza kusema alipigwa na bibi usiku nini? Kumeendaje? So as even they provide that, they need to ask themselves how we can't dictate. When they put a place and they put somebody there to attend, to me that is like a dictation. Why don't you have a panel from which people can choose to go to in their different places, just like the way the medical cover operates, other than stationing, having it stationed at the workplace? Because some offices I know, I think there are those who have a room that is well furnished, and there's somebody who is brought there maybe every Wednesday or every Monday and Friday. So you can walk there and have a talk with them. It calls for somebody who is very free and having an attitude. They have a very high self-esteem and confidence not to mind what people will say. So I would advise, my advice would be that, one, to avoid it look like it is dictating and to avoid people shying away, give people room to select for themselves. Give them a panel from which they can select, if I got your question right, so that they can go and choose where they want to go comfortably, location, and of course they will read the profile of who is the clinical psychologist or who is the counseling psychologist, and see whom, even in their own perception, they will see whom they want to align with. At least give people an option, 2 or 3 of them. Number 2, or when it comes to the single people and the family members, I always tell people getting married is not, in quotes, an achievement. You better get married at 40, but at least when you clearly understand what it means. Because a majority of us get ready for the wedding, but we are not ready for the marriage. Our aunties, our uncles, our daddies and mummies, probably they are subscribing to the old school of thought that by the time a man is turning 27, 30, anafaa kuwa na mtu, na huyu mtu ndiye atakuwa anamsaidia. Unaona sasa kijana yangu, hata hiyo kuvaa ungekuwa unavaa vizuri, hata hiyo haircut si nzuri sana, hata venye unakuja, but maybe the person they are thinking you will have could actually be worse and making you actually go backwards. So being single should not be looked like it is a condition or a sickness. And we need to stop these habits and appreciate, look at it like a transition moment. And people can be single for every reason. Unaweza kuwa you are single because you've never partnered with anybody, or you partnered with somebody and for some reasons you separated or you're divorced, or you are a widow or a widower. So that unpartnered session or that period when somebody is single, can we look at it like a transition period, when somebody is getting themselves ready, when somebody is aligning themselves with somebody? Let us mind our business and be supportive and enabling with our speech, with our presence, not trying to rush people and make them feel guilty and like they are failing me. I talk to my son like he is failing me because he is not yet married at a certain time and I don't have grandchildren. I should be an enabler of his life as he tries to transit from unpartnered or singlehood into it, whichever time it takes. My business should be to support and be an enabler and create an environment that actually he or she, as my daughter Janet, can come today as a mother and she tells me, you know, I hand this person, but along the way, I don't see some promising, you know, your son can come and tell you this because you've not made it like you're always blaming them and making them feel guilty that you are aging and they are not seeing you're not seeing grandchildren like your friends and your sisters and your brothers. So parents also, we need to be careful. Brothers and sisters, we have to be careful. Hii mambo ya utaleta mtu lini mpaka people make a joke at I'm available for hire. Have you seen those jokes? At I'm available for hire, you can hire me, you go with me. We need to avoid such moments. They may look like jokes, but they can take a mental toll. They can take a toll order mentally on the unpartnered people. They may not be able to say it. And you know, where it looks like when 2 people are married, that is the perfect thing. When you are single at a certain age, you are failed, you are unsuccessful. We shouldn't make it sound or look like that. Let us look at it like a transition moment. Somebody is preparing, somebody is aligning. That would be my response, Frederick.
Frederick, I hope that you've been answered.
Yes, I have. Thank you. Thanks a lot, Patricia.
Somebody has written for us here. Okay. Jason has said this was a very timely session for such hard times. Thank you for articulating. Then I think the acceptance in the existence of mental issues is first step to getting help. Speaking more about it makes it easier to getting honest. Absolutely, that is good. We need to appreciate and talk about it. Let us not look at it like somebody who is not well or somebody taking some medication or going to see a counselor is an issue. It can be sad. It could be your mother. It could be your father. Imagine where probably like the seniors I was talking about. Mtu amefanya kazi Mombasa Port ama Kenya Maritime ama Kenya Ferry ama kwenye amefanya kazi, ametoka nyumbani, hajawahi fika nyumbani miaka 15. Yeye ni kutuma hela tu, yeye ni kutuma hela. Siku imefika amestaafu, wakati wa kurudi nyumbani. Unarudi nyumbani wapi sasa? Where are you going home? Then you go back there and everybody is minding their own business, and now you want to make it a big deal. Nobody is respecting you or honoring you. And then when you realize people don't care or don't mind your noise because you're coming in as an authority and you feel you should be listened to, then you start feeling you're not respected and you start getting depressed. You know, we need to be careful how we conduct ourselves. The seniors, when somebody is about to retire, hawajajipanga vizuri, nyumbani hakuna boma, you know, they have wasted their time. You expect that person to be mentally sick. How do you come in as a son? How do you come in as a daughter? Your mother probably is getting into the stage, or your elder sister or a friend you know is in her premenopausal and menopausal phase. And I've said those can impact on a woman's mental wellness. How do you help our teenagers, our children? How do we help them to learn and understand different ways how they can decompress and don't become victims of mental disorder? So such is mental wellness, and we need to talk about it continuously. You can be champions in your own ways, in your own small ways. Back in the office, back at work, when you're with your friends, at a personal level to yourself, what you're picking today, let us not be ashamed, and don't ashame or label another person. Let us appreciate each other. Let us support one another, because tomorrow you don't know where you could be, or you could be the subject tomorrow. We have children who we are bringing up. What we give, we shall receive. Yes, Janet, I don't know if someone else has a question.
I don't see any more questions. So at this point, I would like to express my sincere appreciation to you, Madam Patricia, for giving an excellent coverage to mental health awareness and generally just enabling us to get important pointers on what mental health is and how to deal with it and how to even help people who are currently going through the same, and also how to identify the vulnerable people to the mental health issue. And for those people who have been with us since the beginning of this webinar, I'd like us to go and support her page to also continue this conversation on mental health wellness and mental health awareness. So she told us that her space is called the Level Up Space, and she's on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So we can go and continue the conversation there as well. I'd also like to express my gratitude to all attendees for joining and for participating, and also just for giving us the opportunity to bring this to you. We hope that you'll be able to apply whatever we have learned today in your day-to-day lives, and more so in the aspect of even learning how to do a personal audit on yourself so that you can keep track of your mental health. And Madam Patricia has reminded us that when you are in good mental health, you'll be able to relate well with other people, you'll be able to handle situations better, and thus be equipped to just generally cruise through life without having a lot to worry about. And also one more aspect that she has brought out is that it's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to reach out for help. At this point, I would like to welcome CPA Joshua Owano to give a closing remark.
So thanks so much everyone for joining, and we will be sharing details soon of the next webinar we'll be doing in the next 2 weeks. As you all know, we usually do webinars every 2 weeks, and we keep to ensure that we bring in all the tools and features that we imagine are necessary for your personal and awesome growth. Thank you so much, and everybody can log off at their own convenience. Certificates will be shared in your emails. Thank you.